paradise is just hell with better marketing. And nowhere is that more true than the overpriced, overhyped tourist trap that is Phuket, Thailand. I'm going to tell you about my complete disillusionment with what everyone calls Thailand's Paradise Island, a place that sucked me in for nearly 9 years before I finally saw it for the money-draining circus it really is. Apologies in advance for what's about to be a brutally honest takedown of a place that's fooled millions into thinking it's some kind of tropical paradise. I still don't understand how grown adults fall for the Phuket fantasy, but I was one of them, so I guess I can't judge too harshly. The whole island paradise nonsense has turned this place into a playground for overpriced beach clubs, scam artists in swim shorts, and middle-aged tourists having expensive midlife crises at $20 cocktails. Anyway, on with my story. After my first trip to Phuket in 2015, I was completely hooked, just like every other tourist who thinks they've discovered paradise between overpriced beach loungers and tourist trap restaurants charging Bangkok prices for mediocre seafood, the beaches, the sunsets, the islands, the whole tropical lifestyle. I bought into every single cliché. When you first arrive in Phuket, you become someone else entirely. Someone who thinks paying $15 for pad thai is reasonable because it comes with an ocean view. Someone who believes that sitting on Patong Beach, surrounded by jet ski touts and massage ladies equals living the dream. All of a sudden, you're living this tourist bubble lifestyle that looks amazing on Instagram, but costs a fortune to maintain. I did the whole Patong party scene, the Kata Beach relaxation circuit, the Phi Island hopping tours, spending money like it was Monopoly cash because everything felt so exotic and special. What I didn't realize was that I was being systematically milked by an entire industry designed to separate tourists from their savings. This became my go-to destination. I'd work for 6 months, save up, then blow it all in Phuket over the course of 6 weeks, convinced I was living the island life and making memories. Every other beach destination seemed boring by comparison. Phuket was my drug, and I was completely addicted. But around 2023, something shifted. I finally saw through the carefully crafted tourist illusion, and now I wouldn't go back to that overpriced holiday factory if you paid me. It's become a parody of itself. Whatever authentic Thai charm it once had has been bulldozed and replaced with shopping malls, chain restaurants, and beach clubs that charge more than places in Monaco. Back to my first trip, it felt like I'd discovered the secret to the perfect vacation. The whole island seemed designed to make you feel like you were living in a luxury resort while convincing yourself you were getting good value. I was staying in beautiful resorts with ocean views, eating fresh seafood, exploring hidden beaches, meeting interesting people from all over the world. I was going to different beaches every day, taking long-tail boat trips to secluded coves, getting traditional Thai massages for what seemed like nothing, watching incredible sunsets with a Chang beer in hand. The lifestyle was intoxicating. I felt relaxed, adventurous, more free, all the feelings that keep people coming back for more. This went on for about 8 years. I'd work my ass off for months, then escape to Phuket for extended holidays, each time going a little deeper into the expat scene, staying a little longer, spending a little more. I tried to time my visits during low season, avoiding the crowds, finding the local spots that weren't overrun with tour groups yet. Now, after countless visits and way too much money spent, I can see exactly how the whole system works. And let me tell you, it's designed to do one thing: extract maximum cash from tourists who think they're having some kind of authentic Thai experience. The transformation didn't happen overnight. Each visit, I noticed small changes that individually seemed minor but collectively painted a disturbing picture. That quiet beach bar I loved, replaced by a massive resort complex. That local family restaurant with amazing curry, gone. Replaced by an Irish pub serving terrible fish and chips at London prices. The first crack in my Phuket fantasy came when I started adding up what I was actually spending. Those reasonable hotel rates? Add in the resort fees, the mandatory insurance, the inflated minibar prices, the pool towel deposits, and suddenly you're paying 5-star prices for 3-star accommodation with staff who barely speak English. Those amazing beachfront restaurants. Half of them are run by foreigners charging Western prices for Thai food that's been dumbed down for tourist palates and tastes nothing like authentic Thai cuisine. The local experiences? Most are manufactured specifically for the tour group crowd, with locals playing up stereotypes to give visitors the exotic experience they're expecting. I started noticing the pattern everywhere. The taxi drivers who couldn't use meters despite it being the law. The authentic Thai cooking classes taught by people who learned their recipes from YouTube. The massage parlors that promised traditional Thai healing but delivered basic Swedish massages at premium prices. But what really opened my eyes was seeing the same cycle play out with visitor after visitor. They'd arrive bright-eyed and convinced they were about to have the vacation of a lifetime. They'd spend a week or two burning through their savings on overpriced activities, terrible tour packages, and shopping at markets where everything costs 10 times what locals pay, then go home thinking they'd experienced real Thailand. The worst part? Most of them had no idea they'd been completely ripped off the entire time. They'd post photos of their $5 massages, not realizing locals pay 150 baht while they paid 500. They'd rave about their authentic Thai dinner that cost them 800 baht when the same meal costs 80 baht at a local place 2 streets away. The more time I spent there, the more I saw behind the picture-perfect facade that gets plastered all over travel blogs and Instagram feeds. The traffic is absolutely hellish. What should be a 15-minute drive from Patong to Kata regularly takes an hour and a half through polluted, chaotic roads filled with tour buses, rental scooters driven by clueless tourists, and motorbike taxis weaving through traffic like maniacs. The beaches that look pristine in promotional photos are often crowded with pushy vendors, illegal jet ski operations, and parasailing touts who won't take no for an answer. Try to enjoy a peaceful day at the beach, and you'll be approached every 5 minutes by someone trying to sell you something, offer you a massage, or convince you to take a long-tail boat tour. The local economy has been completely warped by tourism. Traditional fishing communities get pushed out by hotel developments. Local businesses can't compete with the inflated rents caused by tourist-focused establishments. Young Thais learn that scamming tourists pays better than any legitimate job. So the entire service culture becomes based on extracting maximum money from visitors. And the expat community? Some of the most bitter, entitled people I've ever encountered. Walk through any bar in Patong after 2 p.m. and you'll find dozens of red-faced retirees who moved to Thailand thinking their pension would make them kings, only to discover that the cost of living has skyrocketed and they're basically trapped in an expensive bubble, drinking away their disappointment while complaining about how Thailand used to be better. I used to be able to have genuine conversations with fellow travelers, but toward the end, I actively avoided other tourists. The quality of people drawn to Phuket's scene has plummeted. They're more demanding, more entitled, more obsessed with getting their money's worth, and completely disconnected from any cultural awareness or respect for local customs. Many of the locals who work in tourism have become equally jaded and calculating. They've learned exactly what buttons to push with foreign visitors. The smiling service, the Mai Pen Rai attitude, the promise of authentic experiences. It's all performed now, a carefully choreographed dance designed to separate visitors from their money as efficiently as possible while maintaining the illusion of Thai hospitality. Just like other Thai tourist destinations, Phuket has its own version of relationship traps that snare vulnerable foreigners. I watched it happen over and over again. Usually with middle-aged Western men who'd come for a beach vacation and end up falling for local women who worked in hotels, restaurants, or massage parlors. These relationships follow a predictable pattern. The Thai woman showers them with attention they've never received before, introduces them to her authentic local lifestyle, maybe takes them to meet her family in some village in Izayan. The Western man becomes convinced he's found true love and starts funding everything, paying for her apartment, her family's debts, her children's school fees, sometimes even buying land or starting businesses together. But here's the thing. Many of these women have multiple foreign boyfriends supporting them simultaneously. They're running the same game on lonely tourists who think they've found their exotic princess. I've seen men spend their entire retirement savings supporting women who were openly dating other foreigners the minute their sponsor went back home. I'm not being harsh on these men. I understand the appeal. When you're feeling lonely or unfulfilled in your regular life and an attractive woman half your age shows you attention in a beautiful tropical setting, It's easy to get swept up in the fantasy. But the power dynamic is completely skewed, and these women know exactly how to exploit Western men's loneliness and savior complexes. The female version works differently but follows similar patterns. Western women fall for local men who play up the exotic beach boy angle, talking about living simply, being connected to nature, the importance of enjoying life without stress. Meanwhile, they're working multiple angles to extract money for fake emergencies, family obligations, or business opportunities that never quite materialize. I witnessed this firsthand with a friend of mine, a successful businesswoman in her 50s who came to Phuket for a solo vacation after her divorce. She met a Thai guy in his 30s who worked at a beach club, and within 2 weeks, she was convinced she'd found her soulmate. She ended up extending her trip for 3 months, funding his lifestyle, and even started making plans to move to Thailand permanently. The guy was playing her perfectly: morning beach walks, romantic dinners at sunset, deep conversations about life and happiness. She felt like she was starring in her own romantic movie. What she didn't know was that he had at least 2 other foreign women funding different aspects of his life, and he spent his free time laughing about it with his Thai friends. When she finally went back home, she kept sending him money every month for over a year, $2,000 monthly, to help with his family situation, while he supposedly worked on starting a legitimate business they could run together. She even flew back twice to visit, each time more convinced that their relationship was real and special. The wake-up call came when she showed up unannounced one day and found him with another Western woman, feeding her the exact same lines about wanting to build a simple, honest life together. The confrontation was ugly, and she realized she'd been funding his playboy lifestyle while he treated her like just another ATM with feelings. One of the biggest rackets in Phuket is the tour and activity industry, and I got completely sucked into it during my early visits. I spent thousands of dollars on island-hopping tours, elephant sanctuaries, cultural shows, cooking classes, and adventure activities that promised authentic Thai experiences but delivered nothing more than expensive tourist theater. Here's what I learned: 99% of it is complete bullshit run by people who've learned to package basic activities as premium experiences for gullible foreigners. Those authentic long-tail boat tours to hidden beaches? You're paying 2,500 baht to visit overcrowded tourist spots that locals call farang islands because no Thai person would ever pay to go there. The elephant sanctuaries that cost $100 per person, most are barely regulated operations that abuse animals for photo opportunities while convincing tourists they're supporting conservation. The cooking classes taught by traditional Thai grandmothers? Half the instructors learned their recipes from cooking shows and have never lived in a traditional Thai household. But the biggest scam of all is the whole VIP and private tour industry. They'll charge you triple the price for the same tour bus experience, just with a fancier van and bottled water included. The private beaches they take you to are the same crowded spots every other tour visits, just at slightly different times of day. I remember one particularly expensive luxury sunset cruise that cost me 4,000 baht per person. They promised gourmet dining, premium drinks, and exclusive access to the best sunset viewing spots. What I got was a crowded boat with terrible catered food, watered-down cocktails, and a sunset view blocked by dozens of other identical tour boats, all anchored in the same spot. The worst part was watching other tourists on the boat acting like they were having the time of their lives, taking selfies and posting about their amazing Thailand experience, while I sat there calculating how much money I'd wasted on what was essentially a floating tourist trap. What really started to bother me about Phuket was how normalized the scamming became. It's not just occasional bad actors. It's a systematic culture of overcharging, misleading, and cheating tourists that's become so embedded in the local economy that even honest businesses have to participate to survive. The taxi situation is probably the most obvious example. Despite tuk-tuks and taxis being required by law to use meters, good luck finding one that will. They'll quote you prices that are literally 10 times what the meter would show, and if you refuse, they'll act like you're the unreasonable one. I've had drivers demand 400 baht for trips that should cost 60 baht. then get angry when I walked away. The restaurant scams are more subtle but equally infuriating. They'll have two menus, one in Thai with reasonable prices and one in English with inflated costs. Or they'll add mysterious service charges and tourism taxes that don't exist anywhere else in Thailand. I once paid 1,200 baht for a simple seafood dinner that should have cost 300 baht, not realizing until later that they'd charged me per piece instead of per plate. But the jet ski scam is probably the most notorious. They rent you a jet ski, then claim you damaged it when you return it and demand thousands of baht in repairs. This happens so often that there are entire websites dedicated to warning tourists about it. Yet people still fall for it every day because the operators are incredibly aggressive and intimidating. The gem and jewelry scams are legendary. They'll approach you with some story about a special sale or factory outlet, then pressure you into buying overpriced fake jewelry that they claim is worth thousands of dollars. I watched a couple from Germany spend 15,000 baht on genuine Thai sapphires that were probably worth about 500 baht retail. What bothers me most is how the local authorities don't just tolerate this behavior, they actively enable it. The police take cuts from the scam operations, the tourism officials look the other way, and the whole system is designed to extract maximum money from visitors while providing minimal recourse when things go wrong. The long-term expat community in Phuket deserves special mention because they're some of the most delusional people I've ever encountered. These are mostly European and Australian retirees who moved to Thailand thinking their pensions would give them a luxury lifestyle, only to discover that Phuket is expensive as hell and they're basically trapped in a tourist bubble. Walk into any expat bar in Patong or Kata and you'll hear the same conversations every day. Complaints about how expensive everything has become, rants about corrupt officials, stories about getting scammed by locals, and endless nostalgia for the good old days when Thailand was cheaper and more authentic. But here's the thing, these guys are part of the problem. They demand Western-style amenities and services, driving up costs for everyone. They refuse to learn Thai language or culture, then complain when locals don't cater to their needs. They treat Thailand like their personal playground while contributing nothing to the local community except gentrification and cultural erosion. I met one British retiree who'd been living in Phuket for 12 years and spoke maybe 50 words of Thai. He spent his days drinking beer and complaining about how the locals were always trying to cheat him, while simultaneously bragging about how much better his life was than his friends back in England. The irony was completely lost on him. These expats create this weird parallel society where they only interact with other foreigners and a small group of English-speaking Thais who work in the tourist industry. They have no idea what real Thai life is like, no understanding of local customs or culture, and no interest in integrating with the community they live in. Many of them are basically economic refugees who can't afford to live decently in their home countries, but they act like they're doing Thailand a favor by being there. They'll lecture you about Thai culture and the Thai way of life while demonstrating complete ignorance about both topics. The saddest ones are the guys who moved to Thailand for the women and ended up in these obviously transactional relationships where they're basically paying for companionship. They'll introduce their much younger Thai girlfriends to other expats while everyone politely pretends it's a normal relationship based on love and compatibility rather than economic necessity. The experience that finally broke my Phuket addiction happened during what I thought would be my last big splurge trip in 2023. I'd saved up about $8,000 for a month-long stay, planning to do everything I'd always wanted to do, but never could afford. The luxury resorts, the private tours, the high-end restaurants, the works. I booked a supposedly 5-star resort in Nai Harn that cost me $300 per night. The photos looked incredible. Infinity pool overlooking the ocean, spacious suites with marble bathrooms, world-class spa facilities. What I got was a dated hotel with maintenance issues, surly staff who barely spoke English, and a breakfast buffet that consisted of stale pastries and instant coffee. But the real breaking point came when I tried to book a premium island-hopping tour that promised small groups, gourmet meals, and access to exclusive locations. Food costs are absolutely insane compared to the rest of Thailand. A simple plate of pad thai that costs 60 baht at a local restaurant will cost you 300 baht at a tourist place. Fresh seafood that locals buy for 200 baht per kilo gets served to tourists for 800 baht per dish. Even basic drinks are marked up dramatically. A bottle of water that costs 10 baht at 7-Eleven costs 80 baht at beach restaurants. Transportation is highway robbery. Taxis charge fixed rates that are 5 to 10 times what meter rates would be in Bangkok. Tuk-tuks demand 200 baht for trips that should cost 50 baht. Rental cars come with mysterious insurance requirements and damage fees that can double your actual rental costs. Tours and activities are the biggest scam of all. That authentic cooking class costs 2,500 baht per person for 3 hours of basic instruction you could get on YouTube. The island hopping tours charge 3,000 baht for a day trip that consists mostly of sitting in boats and waiting in lines with hundreds of other tourists. Even basic services get inflated for foreigners. Massages that cost 250 baht for locals become 800 baht tourist massages with no difference in quality. Laundry services charge per piece instead of per kilo. Internet and phone services come with foreigner surcharges that don't exist anywhere else in Thailand. By the time you factor in all these costs, a week in Phuket easily costs more than a week in most European cities, but with significantly lower quality accommodations, food, and services. You're paying premium prices for a developing world experience, which would be fine if the experience was actually good, but mostly, it's just frustrating and disappointing. I calculated that my typical 2-week Phuket vacation cost me around $4,000, not including flights. For that same money, I could spend a month traveling through Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos with better food, more authentic cultural experiences, and significantly less tourist harassment. Or I could spend 2 weeks in Japan with world-class accommodation, incredible food, and flawless service. The value proposition of Phuket tourism makes no sense once you actually break down the numbers, but the marketing is so effective that people convince themselves they're getting a great deal because the nominal prices seem low compared to Western standards. They don't realize they're being systematically overcharged for everything until they get home and add up their total expenses. What makes Phuket particularly insidious is how it creates this addiction cycle that keeps people coming back even when they're not really enjoying themselves. The island has this way of making you feel like you're living in a vacation commercial, even when the reality is expensive, crowded, and frustrating. Part of it is the sunk cost fallacy. You've already spent so much money getting there and setting up your trip that you feel obligated to have a good time. Part of it is social media pressure. Everyone expects you to post amazing photos and rave about your tropical paradise experience. And part of it is just the contrast with normal life. Even a mediocre day on a tropical island feels better than a good day at the office. But the biggest factor is how the tourism industry has perfected the art of creating just enough positive moments to override the negative ones. They'll give you one genuinely beautiful sunset, one decent meal, one friendly interaction that makes you forget about all the overcharging, the crowds, the scams, and the disappointments. It's like gambling. The occasional win keeps you playing even though you're losing money overall. You'll have one magical day where everything goes right, and that memory will sustain you through multiple disappointing trips because you keep thinking you can recreate that perfect experience. I fell into this trap for years. Every time I went to Phuket, I'd have moments of genuine enjoyment that would make me forget about all the frustrations. I'd come home with selective memories of the good parts and start planning my next trip, convinced that I just needed to be smarter about avoiding the tourist traps. But the truth is, there's no way to avoid the tourist traps in Phuket because the entire island has become one giant tourist trap. The authentic experiences, the reasonable prices, the genuine hospitality, they don't exist anymore at any scale that matters. What you're left with is an expensive simulation of tropical paradise that's designed to keep you spending money while providing just enough satisfaction to generate repeat customers. The addiction is also psychological. Phuket represents escape, adventure, freedom from normal responsibilities. When you're dealing with work stress, relationship problems, or just general life dissatisfaction, the idea of escaping to a tropical island where your biggest concern is which beach to visit becomes incredibly appealing. But the escape is temporary and expensive, and it doesn't actually solve any of the underlying problems that make you want to escape in the first place. You come back home broke, exhausted, and often more stressed than when you left. Then you start planning your next escape, convinced that the next trip will be different, better, more fulfilling. My absolute final straw with Phuket came during my last visit in late 2023. I decided to give the island one more chance, thinking maybe I'd just been unlucky or hadn't found the right places yet. I planned a shorter, more focused trip, just 5 days, staying in a mid-range hotel, trying to balance tourist activities with more local experiences. Everything went wrong from the moment I landed. The airport taxi driver tried to charge me 1,200 baht for a trip that should have cost 300 baht. When I refused and insisted on taking the airport bus instead, he became aggressive and started yelling at me in front of other passengers, calling me a cheap farang and making a scene. The hotel I'd booked based on recent positive reviews turned out to be nothing like the photos. The room was tiny, dirty, and located next to a construction site that started work at 6 a.m. every morning. When I complained to the front desk, they offered to move me to a better room for an additional 1,000 baht per night. But the real breaking point came when I tried to have a simple dinner at what was supposed to be a local restaurant recommended by several travel blogs. The place was clearly a tourist trap designed to look authentic. Plastic chairs, handwritten menus, photos of Thai food on the walls, but the prices were absolutely outrageous, and the food was terrible. I ordered somtam and grilled fish, basic Thai dishes that should cost maybe 150 baht total. The bill came to 650 baht, and when I questioned it, the server showed me the English menu where somtam was listed at 280 baht and the fish was 370 baht. There was also a 15% service charge and a 7% tourism tax that weren't mentioned anywhere. When I asked to see the Thai menu, the server claimed they didn't have one, even though I could see Thai customers at other tables eating from different menus with different prices. The confrontation escalated when I refused to pay the inflated bill, and eventually the restaurant owner came over and started yelling at me in broken English about how foreigners always complain about paying fair prices. I ended up paying the bill just to avoid a bigger scene, but I was absolutely furious. Not just about the money, but about the blatant dishonesty and the assumption that all tourists are stupid enough to pay whatever they're charged. The fact that this kind of behavior is so normalized that restaurant owners feel comfortable being openly hostile when questioned about their pricing shows how corrupt the entire system has become. That night, I spent hours researching flights home instead of planning activities for the rest of my trip. I realized I was more stressed and angry than I'd been in months, and I was paying thousands of dollars for the privilege. The next morning, I changed my flight and left Phuket 2 days early, cutting my losses and admitting that the place had finally broken me. Since cutting ties with Phuket, I've had time to reflect on what drew me there in the first place and why it took me so long to see through the illusion. Part of it was definitely the marketing. Phuket has incredibly effective tourism promotion that creates unrealistic expectations about what the experience will be like. But a bigger part was my own psychological needs and blind spots. I wanted to believe that I could buy my way into a better lifestyle, that spending money on exotic experiences would somehow make me happier or more fulfilled. I was susceptible to the fantasy of tropical paradise because I was trying to fill voids in my life with expensive distractions. The truth is, travel can be incredibly rewarding when it's done thoughtfully and authentically. But Phuket-style tourism isn't really travel. It's consumption. You're not exploring new cultures or challenging yourself with unfamiliar experiences. You're paying premium prices to have familiar experiences in an exotic setting. Real Thai culture is fascinating, complex, and deeply rewarding to engage with. But you won't find it in Phuket's tourist zones. You'll find it in smaller cities, rural areas, and local neighborhoods where foreigners are still novelties rather than economic opportunities. You'll find it in places where people interact with you as a human being rather than a walking ATM. Since leaving Phuket behind, I've had much better travel experiences spending less money in places that haven't been completely consumed by tourism. I've learned to appreciate authentic local culture instead of manufactured tourist experiences. I've discovered that the best travel memories come from unexpected encounters and genuine connections, not from expensive activities and luxury accommodations. But I don't regret my Phuket years entirely. They taught me valuable lessons about marketing, psychology, and my own vulnerabilities. They showed me how entire economies can be built around exploiting people's dreams and insecurities. And they gave me a deep appreciation for authenticity in travel and in life. If you're planning your first trip to Phuket, I'm not going to tell you not to go. Everyone needs to learn these lessons for themselves, and maybe you'll have better luck than I did. But I will offer some advice based on my experience. Set a strict budget and stick to it. The island is designed to separate you from your money through 1,000 small charges and upsells. Don't get caught up in the vacation mentality where normal financial common sense goes out the window. Don't believe the marketing. The photos are heavily edited, the reviews are often fake, and the promotional materials bear little resemblance to reality. Research independently and maintain realistic expectations. Learn basic Thai phrases and cultural norms. The difference in how you'll be treated once locals realize you've made an effort to understand their culture is dramatic. Don't be another entitled tourist who expects everyone to cater to your needs. Avoid anything marketed as authentic or traditional. These are usually the most manufactured tourist experiences. Real authenticity doesn't need to advertise itself. Be prepared for constant sales pressure. Every interaction with locals will involve someone trying to sell you something or extract money from you somehow. This isn't necessarily malicious. It's just how the economy works there. Most importantly, don't get addicted. Phuket is designed to create repeat customers by providing just enough satisfaction to keep you coming back. If you find yourself planning return trips, ask yourself honestly whether you're chasing genuine experiences or just trying to recapture a fantasy. The world is full of incredible places that offer better value, more authentic experiences, and fewer tourist traps. Don't get stuck in the Phuket cycle like I did. There's too much else to see and do to waste years and thousands of dollars on an overpriced tourist simulation. Thailand has so much more to offer than its most famous tourist destinations. If you really want to experience Thai culture, skip Phuket entirely and go somewhere that hasn't been completely colonized by the tourism industry. Your wallet and your soul will thank you. Looking back, my 9-year obsession with Phuket feels like a fever dream. An expensive, frustrating fever dream that I somehow convinced myself was paradise. The island took thousands of my dollars, countless hours of my time, and years of my life that I could have spent having genuine experiences in places that actually deserved my money and attention. Phuket isn't paradise. It's a cautionary tale about what happens when tourism becomes so profitable that it consumes everything authentic about a place. It's a warning about how marketing can create powerful illusions that override common sense and personal experience. And it's a reminder that the most expensive experiences aren't necessarily the most rewarding ones. The saddest part is that Phuket probably was paradise once, before the tourism industry discovered it and transformed it into a profit extraction.